My original plan for this video was to compare the movie High-Rise to the film Snowpiercer, but the problem I kept running into is that I honestly don't have much to say about Snowpiercer. Don't get me wrong, Snowpiercer is a phenomenal movie. However, and I'm just speaking for me, High-Rise is the more interesting film to talk about. Besides, I'm sure that most of you have seen or either heard of Snowpiercer, but not High-Rise. If you ask me, I'd rather shed light on a film that you haven't heard of before, rather than talk about a film that you're already familiar with, even though that is pretty fun. High-Rise, much like Snowpiercer, is an allegorical film about class warfare, but despite these similarities, High-Rise has a very different message from Snowpiercer. Which is why for the rest of the video, I will be talking about High-Rise and Thatcherism.
What are you doing in there? What are you doing? What are you doing in there?
A great place for us to start tackling this topic is actually at the very end of the movie. The last shot of High-Rise features a young boy who's listening to a radio broadcast of a speech that's being given by Margaret Thatcher. In the clip, you hear her say this.
There is only one economic system in the world, and that is capitalism. The difference lies in whether the capital is in the hands of the state or whether the greater part of it is in the hands of people outside of state control. Where there is state capitalism, there will never be political freedom.
The main gist of this speech that Margaret Thatcher gave is that most goods and services ought to be privately owned rather than owned by the government, stating that where there is state capitalism, there can never be political freedom. State capitalism being government ownership. In short, this is pro-private ownership. We can use this lens of pro-private ownership to help us better understand what happens in the movie High-Rise. With that being said, what actually happens in High-Rise? High-Rise, set in the 1970s, is a film about Dr. Robert Lang who moves into the 25th floor of a recently built 40-story high-rise. This is a high-rise where wealthier people live on the top floors, whereas poorer people live on the bottom floors. What's truly unique about the high-rise is how much it provides to all of its residents. Inside of the high-rise is a pool, a gym, and a supermarket that they all have access to. Unfortunately, conflict is sparked between the higher and lower floors due to frequent power outages. As the film progresses, the high-rise descends further and further into chaos. People stop going to their jobs, garbage piles up, food becomes scarce, and violence and debauchery become commonplace. The film ends with Dr. Lang in a ravaged high-rise, with everyone either dead or insane. So what does any of this have to do with Thatcherism? As I've said before, Thatcherism is against government ownership of goods and services. In this case, the high-rise is meant to represent the government. A government which provides things to all of the people, such as a supermarket, a gym, and a pool. Throughout the film, it's made clear that the high-rise is not capable of providing so many things to so many people. In the first half of the film, we see a number of power outages that residents in lower floors believe are being caused by residents in higher floors. However, the architect behind the high-rise informs Dr. Lang that the building is still settling in. He's essentially saying that the building is struggling to provide power to everyone. This issue, along with other issues, is compounded when residents stop going to their jobs. Residents stop going to work as a result of the high-rise providing so many things. I mean, why go to work to try to get things you need when the high-rise already provides you with all the things you need? With everyone staying in the building at all hours of the day, that means that the building would have to provide that much more for them. But as the first half of the film established with the power outages, that's just something the building can't do. And thus, these things allow for the spiral down in the chaos that we see towards the later half of the film. There's a scene towards the end of the movie where Dr. Lang and the architect are having a discussion about what went wrong with the high-rise. And that's when the architect says this.
All this has made me realize something quite fundamental. It wasn't that I left an element out. It was that I put too many in.
The issue is not that he forgot to put anything in, but that he put too much in. If we recognize that the high-rise is meant to represent the government, then that means that the message here is that the government cannot provide for everyone. With all this in mind, we can make more sense of Thatcher's statement at the end of the film, where there is state capitalism, there can never be political freedom. The complete and utter chaos at the end of the movie as a direct result of the conditions of the high-rise are meant to represent the erosions of political freedom that would be caused by state capitalism. Before this video ends, I just want to make it very clear that this video is not an endorsement nor an indictment of any sort of political views. This is a movie YouTube channel, not a political one. All I'm doing is giving an honest account of what the message is in High-Rise. Nothing more, nothing less. So with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one.